So, have you been feeling a little weird about AI lately? Maybe anxious, maybe confused, maybe even a little resistant to this whole explosion that's happening? Well, if you have, you're definitely not alone. It's a totally normal reaction to this kind of massive change. And to really get what we're all feeling right now, we've got to go back in time.
And here's the kicker. This quote, it wasn't said last week about some AI art generator. Nope. This was declared way back in 1839 by a famous painter the very first time he saw a photograph. It's just a perfect reminder that even though the technology changes, that initial wave of fear, it sounds pretty much the same.
And you can see it right here, right? It's the same exact pattern. It's just a gimmick. It lacks soul. It's going to destroy our jobs. We hear this cycle of dismissal and fear and resistance every single time a truly disruptive technology shows up. It happened with photography, it happened with synthesizers and music, and yeah, it is absolutely happening right now with AI.
But this whole recurring pattern, it isn't just people being stubborn about change. No, researchers are now realizing it's something way deeper. It's a profound psychological response that they're calling technological grief. Basically, it's like we're mourning the old way of doing things, for the workflows we were comfortable with, for the skills we spent years building that suddenly feel, well, kind of obsolete. And the most important part? It follows this predictable six-stage cycle that starts in a really, really tough place.
Okay, so the first 3 stages of this whole process, this is where things get really tough. It's where we feel all that friction and anxiety. It's what researchers call the danger zone.
This chart lays it all out pretty clearly. First, you've got stage 1, loss. That initial shock, the fear kicks in, and our first instinct is just denial, to resist it or pull away. Then we slide into stage 2, doubt. That's when resentment starts to build, we get skeptical, we get defensive, maybe we start looking for someone or something to blame. And that leads us to stage 3, discomfort. This is where the anxiety and confusion just take over, and we can end up feeling completely overwhelmed, unproductive, just stuck.
And that third stage, discomfort, is a huge fork in the road. It is that critical moment where we feel totally paralyzed. We can either retreat, fall back into that fear and doubt from the earlier stages, or we can find a way to push forward, to break through to something much more positive.
So, if that's the danger zone, how do we get out of it? How do we find that more optimistic path? Well, let's take a look at what happens when we actually navigate through that tough spot and make that choice to move forward.
So once you push through that really uncomfortable phase, you land in stage 4, discovery. This is where curiosity finally starts to win out over fear. We start playing around, experimenting. And all that experimenting naturally leads to stage 5, understanding, where we start to build real skills and confidence. And from there, we hit the final goal, stage 6, integration. That's when the new tool just becomes a natural part of how we work, and it actually feels satisfying.
Okay, so this all makes sense. It's a predictable cycle, we've seen it before. But let's be real, why does this time with generative AI feel so different, so much more intense and disruptive than anything that's come before?
Well, the answer has a name, the velocity problem, and it's exactly what it sounds like. It's not just that things are changing, it's the absolutely breathtaking, head-spinning speed at which they're changing. Our brains, our emotions, we just can't keep up.
I mean, just look at this chart to get a sense of how insane this is. The commercial internet, it took about 13 years to get to 800 million users. ChatGPT, it did that in just 3. We are being forced to process and adapt at a pace that is just completely unheard of in all of human history.
And then incredible speed creates this thing called the grief gap. See, most of us, when it comes to new tech, we're not the early adopters, we're the late majority. We like to wait and see. But with AI, we're being forced to deal with this volatile, kind of messy, immature technology long before we're psychologically ready for it, and that just cranks up the anxiety and that sense of loss.
So, what are we supposed to do about all this? In a world where AI is getting really good at the technical stuff, the how of getting work done, where do we find our value? How do we build a career that can actually last?
This quote just nails it. The future does not belong to the maker, but to the architect. As AI gets better and better at the execution part, at making the thing, the real human value starts moving. It shifts away from how you do it and toward why you do it and what you should be doing in the first place. It's about being the architect, not just the builder.
And that's where this idea of the human moat comes in.
It's all about doubling down on the skills that AI really struggles with, creating a defensible space around your professional value that a machine can't easily cross.
And that moat is built on 3 main pillars. First up, your taste, your unique ability to see what's good, to critique, to refine. Second, your strategic thinking, your ability to understand the why behind any project. And third, and this is a big one, your willingness to be accountable. In a world of automated stuff, the person who puts their hand up and says, "I'm responsible for this outcome," that person is indispensable. A machine can't offer you a handshake.
Which really leaves us with this one big question to chew on. The anxiety we're all feeling is totally real, but it's also a signal. It's a wake-up call to stop worrying so much about the skills that can be automated and to start building a deep, strong moat around the very things that make you uniquely, irreplaceably human.